Welcome to this explainer. So if you're over 50 and you've ever sat in a doctor's waiting room kind of just wondering what you could actually do to protect yourself from cancer, well, you're in exactly the right place. Today we're diving into what you can actually do to protect your health as you hit this major turning point in life. We're skipping the generic advice and going straight to the hard data. By the end of this, you're going to have a really clear, actionable roadmap for a daily habit that could literally change your health trajectory. All right, let's dive right in. It's a massive question, isn't it? What is the absolute best way to protect against cancer? You might be expecting me to reveal some groundbreaking new supplement, right? Or maybe an expensive wellness treatment, or some super complicated biohacking routine. But here's the totally fascinating reality. After years of treating patients, oncologists across the board keep pointing to one simple, almost boring daily habit. It doesn't need a prescription, and it costs absolutely nothing. The big secret? Just moving your body. That's it. Consistent daily movement is the key habit linked by extensive research to a lower risk of several common cancers. It really is that simple. I know, we live in a world that constantly tells us health has to be incredibly complicated and wildly expensive to actually work. But, when you ask oncologists what they really wish their patients had done 20 years before a diagnosis, this is always right near the top of the list. It's not about becoming a marathon runner. It's honestly just about refusing to sit still for the majority of your day. So what's the actual target? That brings us to this number right here, 30. The goal is ideally around 30 minutes a day. And the intensity? It matters way less than you might think. We're just talking about a pace that gets your heart working a little harder than usual. Brisk walking completely counts. Gardening counts. Swimming counts. Even dancing in your kitchen while you cook dinner absolutely counts. The goal isn't to train for the Olympics, right? The goal is simply to signal to your body that it's active, it's alive, and it needs to maintain its defensive systems.
Section 1. The Science. Why movement fights cancer.
Cancer research over the last 20 years has consistently shown this profound link between regular physical activity and a lower risk of specific cancers, most notably colon, breast, and endometrial cancer. The evidence is incredibly robust. But researchers didn't just want to know that it worked. They wanted to know exactly how it worked on a microscopic level inside our bodies. And they've nailed down 4 main biological mechanisms. First up, movement regulates hormones like estrogen and insulin. When those are present in excess, they can actually fuel certain cancers. Second, it controls chronic inflammation. We now know this creates an environment where cancer cells can easily develop and spread. Third, it maintains a healthy weight, which directly reduces excess body fat, a major risk factor all on its own. And finally, it supports a stronger immune system. Think of your immune system like your body's internal security network, right? It's actively patrolling for and destroying abnormal cells before they become a problem. Basically, when you move, you're arming your guard.
Section 2. The 50-plus factor. Why this habit matters most now.
Let's be honest for a second. Turning 50 has a unique way of making our mortality feel just a bit more real than it did at 30, doesn't it? We start feeling those biological shifts. Our metabolism naturally slows down. Our bodies just become a bit less efficient at repairing cellular damage. Because of these shifts, hitting this age makes movement not just a good idea, but an absolute biological necessity to keep your systems running smoothly. This brings us to a major biological reality: sarcopenia. This is the natural decline in muscle mass as we age, if we aren't actively fighting to keep it. You see, when our hormones shift and our muscle mass drops, we lose our natural metabolic armor. That is exactly why every single walk you take after 50 is doing what oncologists call double duty. You aren't just getting your steps in, you're actively counteracting the biological realities of aging. You're protecting your joints, your heart, and you're actively reducing that cancer risk environment.
Section 3. Redefining exercise. Dismantling gym culture.
I want to completely validate any frustration you might feel with the modern fitness industry. Let's face it, it often feels intimidating, it's loud, and it's seemingly geared entirely toward 20-somethings lifting massive weights. But true health doesn't require a gym membership, and it definitely shouldn't make you feel miserable. We need to completely reframe what working out actually looks like. We so often fall into the trap of the intense and occasional approach. You know the one, an hour-long workout once a week that leaves you so sore and burnt out you completely avoid moving for the next 6 days. But oncologists emphasize a small and steady approach instead. A comfortable pace, done daily, leads to sustainable, long-term success. Cancer risk reduction is tied to sustained, long-term patterns, not occasional bursts of extreme effort. So if you've ever felt like you failed at fitness because you just couldn't keep up with an intense program, this is your permission to literally let that guilt go. You were never supposed to.
So, let's make this incredibly practical.
If doing 30 minutes all at once feels daunting, look at how easily we can break it down. Step 1, a simple 10-minute walk right after breakfast. Step 2, maybe 10 minutes of light housework or gardening in the afternoon. Step 3, a 10-minute walk after dinner. You string those together, and boom, you've hit your 30-minute target for the day. It is completely accessible, and honestly, it doesn't even really feel like traditional exercise. You're just living an active life.
And while you're doing those small bursts of movement, you're actually unlocking hidden benefits that doctors often don't emphasize enough when they're just looking at cancer statistics. Daily movement lowers stress hormones, and it drastically improves your sleep quality. Now, why does this matter for cancer? Well, because chronic stress and poor sleep compromise your immune function and they ramp up inflammation. By moving, you are easing anxiety and helping your body rest, which directly supports your immune system's ability to step up and defend you.
Section 4, Making the Habit Stick, the action plan.
Knowing all of this is great, right? But as we all know, having a burst of inspiration isn't always enough to get you past that 2-week mark where most people inevitably quit. To make sure this actually becomes a permanent part of your daily routine, you need this behavioral science superpower called habit stacking. The secret to building a new habit isn't relying on sheer willpower, it's anchoring the new movement to something you already do every single day without fail. For example, if you always have a morning coffee, commit to a 10-minute walk the second you finish your mug. If you never miss the evening news, commit to walking in place or just doing some light stretching while you watch. By attaching the new habit to an existing one, you dramatically increase the odds that it just becomes automatic.
All right, here are your final tactics for long-term success. First, track it loosely. You don't need a fancy smartwatch for this. Just a simple check mark on a wall calendar creates a visual chain that you're not going to want to break. Second, give yourself permission to start small. If 30 minutes is just too much today, 10 minutes is still a massive victory. Some movement is dramatically better than none. And lastly, remember the bigger picture. Movement is a super powerful tool, but it obviously works best alongside a healthy diet, not smoking, and most importantly, keeping up with your age-appropriate cancer screenings like colonoscopies and mammograms. Movement is your daily armor, but those screenings, those are your early detection system.
So, we've covered the science, the biological changes of your 50s, and the exact steps to build the habit. You don't need a dramatic lifestyle overhaul. You literally just need to start moving. Your future self, 20 years from now, will be very glad you did. It's not about achieving fitness perfection. It's about signaling to your body that you are still in the fight. So, knowing what we now know about how a simple walk alters your biology on a cellular level, what small step will you take today to rewrite your health story for the next 20 years?